everyone and welcome to practice. Today I want to share with you some of my favourite drills to work on when I'm working towards headstand. So whether you're right at the beginning of your headstand journey or whether you're quite comfortable doing a headstand in the middle of the room, the things that I'm going to show you in this practice are great drills to make sure that we're building the right level of strength within our shoulders and our upper body to support us in our headstand practice. So for this practice, you want to set your mat up with the short end against a wall. And then I also have 3 bricks here. If you don't have bricks, don't worry, because there's lots of pieces in this video that you won't need the bricks for. And if you only have 2 bricks, I'll give an option for that when we come to that bit as well. So we're going to start with one of my favourite preparatory poses of headstand, which is dolphin pose. And we'll do a few different variations of our dolphin pose. So start facing the wall. We'll interlace the hands and we'll press the forearms down into the floor. Now elbows are about shoulder distance, and I would say go a little bit closer than you think, because as we come up into dolphin, it's very common for the elbows to start to splay out. So even closer than shoulder distance is good here. Now, once we've got those forearms on the floor, press the floor away to create some space between the shoulder blades, kind of pressing up into the upper back here. And then from there, you're tucking the toes underneath the feet. You're going to lift your knees off the ground and see if you can move your shoulders back. So this is helping to create a little bit more openness in the shoulders. You can almost imagine you're doing a downward facing dog on your forearms here. Keep pushing the floor away through the forearms. Try not to let the head touch the floor. And take a few breaths here. This is where I would always start when working on headstand. So you can take breaks at any point through today's practice, so feel free to bring the knees down whenever you need. Another way we can work on this upper body strength for headstand is seeing about the possibility of walking the feet a little closer. And as we walk the feet a bit closer to the elbows, keep pushing down into the forearms, you can let the head hang. And then our hips come kind of higher over those elbows. Just see how that feels. And then whenever you're ready to, you can come down and out. And so these drills are hard, and we don't have to do them all in one go. Kind of play around with them, see how it feels, and then you can always move on to the next one when you feel ready for that. So another way we can set up dolphin pose is by having our forearms parallel. So elbows coming in, palms are facing down. And then with that nice firm press of hands into the floor, everything else is the same. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, send the shoulders and the hips back, like a downward facing dog version of your dolphin pose. See how it feels. Some people like this hand alignment better than the other one. Some people find it harder. So see what you feel. And just as we did on the previous one, you can always explore the option of getting that weight slightly further forward, hips a little bit more over the elbows. And then when you've had enough, let the knees drop down. It is tiring. So you're going to feel this in the upper body, the heat in the upper body. For our third variation, we're going to sit ourselves against the wall and just notice where your feet come to on your mat. And where the feet come to, that's where we want to place our elbows for this next variation. So I'm going to flip myself over. I'm going to come into my dolphin position with the hands, and you can do the grip of the hands, or you can have the palms planting onto the mat, your choice. Everything else is the same. We're going to push the floor away through the forearms. We're going to tuck the toes under, lift the knees, and then press the hips back. And you might find that your heels even come to rest onto the wall here, and that's absolutely fine. You can do that. Now, from where we are, you might need to bring yourself a little bit closer if you feel that you're kind of reaching away a bit too much. What I want you to try is bringing one foot onto the wall about hip height, so that knee will be bent. And then by pressing firmly into the forearms, you press into the ball of that foot that's on the wall, and maybe the other leg lifts up. You can drop that foot back to the floor and then try switching sides. So we bring the other foot to the wall, we press away, maybe the other foot comes to meet, keep pushing into those forearms, and then lower back down. When you get confident with that, you can try both at the same time. So one foot to the wall, meet it with the other one, both knees are bent, and then by straightening through the legs, those shoulders are coming above the wrist. This is tough. So take your time, do it in small increments of time, and it will build up. And when you're ready, come down and release out. Give yourself a moment, maybe shake out the arms. All right, so this is really good for working on getting those hips over the shoulders, which is what we want in our headstand. Now, the next piece of this puzzle is that we need to learn how to kick up, because at least when we first start practicing headstands, we're probably going to be kicking into the pose. So for this, I like to turn to face the wall again. And I'm not putting the weight on the head just yet. I'm going to still just use my forearms to hold my weight. And then lifting the hips up into dolphin. Now, from there, what we can do is walk the feet in as close as we feel comfortable to, lift one leg into the air, bend the knee of the foot that's on the floor, and then just see if we can do a little hop. So hop, hop. We might not go all the way to the wall, that's fine. We're just practicing that hopping motion. And then you can try that on the other side. So opposite leg lifts up, you bend the knee of the foot that's on the floor, and then little hops. Keep pushing into the forearms. Again, tiring. So lots of breaks in between these rounds. Whew. All right, for this next variation, I'm going to show you how to use the bricks to support the body. So if you have them, you're going to place one on the tallest height, and then the second one is going on top, and you're bringing the end of it to touch the wall. So this needs to be in line here, and then this bit is touching the wall. Now, if you only have two, that's where you stay. If you have a third one, pop it on top. And then I'll show you how to come into this one. So our hands are going behind the block, and we're squeezing I'm squeezing the palms into the side of the block. From there, I'm tucking the head under, and I'm pressing the back of the head into my bricks. We can tuck the toes here, lift the knees off the ground, and then walk those feet in so that the spine is pressing against those bricks. And that's why it's helpful to have the three. It's just because you get a little bit more sensory feedback on your spine as you press into those bricks. Now, I love working on this drill with the bricks. What I'm doing here with my forearms is I'm pressing the forearms down, and I'm also pressing my back into the bricks. So we can just work on this. This is a really, really nice way to practice getting those hips higher than the shoulders and building that strength in the upper body. If you do want to have a go at your kick up from here, you can. So legs are coming up, and maybe the feet find the wall. Now, the nice thing about having the wall behind you is that you do have a little bit of movement where you can press the back into the bricks, and then you can move your feet just away from the wall as you start to find a little bit of balance there. And again, for the moment, I'm still on my forearms, not my head. And then just gently coming out. Whenever we come out of these inversions, especially when we've had the legs up, it can be a really good idea just to take a few breaths in child's pose. It can stop us feeling dizzy as we come out of that pose. All right, so this is pretty much all the prep work that we are going to do for our headstand. And the next variations I'll show you, we will work with the head on the floor. So the first way to do this, again, we can use the bricks here. But if you don't have them, don't worry, because the next couple of variations I show you won't need bricks. So we move that brick, the bottom brick, a little bit further under so that I have space then to put my head down here as well. So I'm just moving that brick back. And this time I'm gonna interlace my hands and I'm gonna place my head in front of those bricks. So let me show you. So hands are interlacing here, head is fitting nicely into that little gap, and then I'm hugging those elbows in towards my head. From there, I'm tucking my toes under, I'm lifting my knees off the ground, and exactly as I did before, I'm gonna press my back into the blocks. Now this time the head is on the floor, but a lot of my weight is still in my forearms here. So from here, you could try squeezing one foot in towards your tailbone. You could do that on the other side. You could try lifting one leg up in the air. You could try that on the other side. Or you could try a little hop in, hopping those feet up. Keep pressing into the forearms. If it feels too heavy on the top of the head, come back down. And see if you can keep pressing the back into the bricks. And then maybe one foot, maybe both feet come away from the wall as we find our balance here. And again, as you did with the previous round, you come out nice and gently. And spend a couple of moments in child's pose. Good, and so now we'll work without the bricks, and I'll give you a couple of other variations to work on. First, kicking up into the pose, and then seeing if we can work with a little bit more control of drawing the knees into the chest to come up. So setting up your headstand, your hands are interlacing, there's a little space between the palms for the head to rest, and I'm right on the crown of the head here, so top of the head. I'm drawing those elbows in towards my head, and then I'm going to tuck the toes and lift the knees off the ground. So just like we did in dolphin, we're pushing firmly into the forearms, but the top of the head is on the floor this time. And then you can walk those feet as close as your body allows. From there, one leg lifts. We bend the knee of the foot that's on the floor and see if we can hop up. Maybe it takes a couple of times to get there. Maybe both feet come and rest against the wall. And then over time, you can practice bringing one heel off the wall, another heel off the wall, and maybe both together. To come out, let one leg come back to the wall, let the other leg come down, and shorten that distance to drop. And so when we're confident with these previous stages, which could be weeks, it could be months, it could even be years, then we can start to work on a little bit more control as we come up into headstand. And so you can do this against the wall, you can also work a little bit further away from the wall. And so head is coming down, elbows squeezing in, everything the same that we've been working on. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up. We're walking those feet in nice and close, and then you're bringing your foot towards your tailbone, one foot towards the tailbone, and then you're just seeing if you can hover on the big toe, and maybe that foot lifts off the ground. So we just start with these little micro movements of getting a little bit more control in our lift up. So squeeze one heel in, lift the opposite toe off the ground. And then in time, maybe that happens with both float and both lift all the way up. You can come down by tucking the knees into the chest, and then maybe letting the toes gently find the floor. Rest in child's pose when you're done. And so there are many ways that you can practice headstand, but these are some of my favourite ways that I incorporate into my own practice. So I hope that you found it helpful. If you do have any questions about this stuff, please do get in touch with me. I'd love to give you some more advice if there's anything specific that you're working on. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a beautiful day.